Right, hello. Here we are. Here we are with the class, mastering your goals and connecting the dots. So I want to start out by talking about that change is scary. Changing the way you've thought for many, many, many years, or changing your location, moving, changing jobs, whatever it is, change can be scary, awkward. Uh, it could be a plethora of words, but for some reason, they escape you when you need them. But whatever you're feeling right now, it's totally valid. Maybe it's the fear of the unknown, fear of stepping out of your comfort zone. That's a big one, right? Comfort zone. We get into our comfort zones because why? It's comfortable. But we as adults, we still can grow and we can accept change in the form of new growth. Not all change is bad. Some things are inflicted on us and we're forced to change. But even if you're forced to change, something's telling you it's time to change because what's working isn't working, or it's just time, right? Time to move on. Things that are forced upon us can be tough. We can start to get bitter. We can start to resent life and things and other people. And then that resistance keeps you stuck in this little rabbit hole that maybe you don't want to get out of. And that's where that creature of habit or comfort zone comes into play. Because if you've ever been forced to change, you know how much you disliked it. So why would you voluntarily put yourself in a position like that, right? So we avoid things and we put it off and we come up with excuses and we start to have these limiting beliefs of, anytime I start to stir the pot, it just doesn't go well. So therefore I don't stir the pot anymore. I like what I have, or I'm settling for what I have, and I'm not going to stir the pot. But then 6 months, a year, 2 years, 10 years goes by. And then you start to realize, wow, I haven't stirred the pot in a while. I'm pretty bored. I'm watching everybody else in the world accomplish things, and I haven't accomplished a damn thing. Because you just kept putting it off because you were too scared to stir the pot and experience something new or take that leap. Whether it's that leap into love and a new relationship, the leap into a new job that you might be happier at, or even learning something new, going back to school. It could be even something as silly as pottery class. How many times have you said to yourself, I'd love to learn how to make pottery, but you never do. Why? Because A, you're lazy, but where does laziness come from? Laziness comes from not wanting to stir the pot, starting to settle for what you have rather than working harder to achieve something else. But we get really stagnant, and when you get stagnant, even your brain starts to lose some cells. And as silly as that sounds, or anyways, that's the way I'm going to refer to it. You see people, my grandmother used to do crossword puzzles and word searches all the time to help stimulate her brain and keep things going, right? Even something as simple as crosswords and word searches are exercise for your brain, and we need these things. Now that's pretty simple, word searches and crossword puzzles. As long as you are still vibrant and have lots of life to live, do crossword puzzles and word searches as often as possible. I love to do them, especially when I'm flying or on a plane or road trip. They're great to get out the old-fashioned books and a pencil and just start going to town. We need that at any age. It's how we started, right? In elementary school, we did lots of word searches and crossword puzzles. And as we get older, like I said, my grandmother enjoyed doing them. But what about in between, right? Even getting the hands moving, again, coming back to pottery, that eye-hand coordination, doing things that stimulate you. And the pottery is kind of a simple goal. If you are putting off learning how to make pottery, and that really is a passion of yours, I'm here to say that you're a fool for not accomplishing that one. Just get out there and do it. That's an easy goal to accomplish and probably not even scary. Like when I started this conversation, I started talking about being scared, and one of the reasons why we don't voluntarily find change in our life is because we're scared. But coming back to that being scared, there are two different kinds of being scared out there. In one of my favorite books, this book, Playing Big by Tara Moore. Look, I even have it right next to me today. But Playing Big by Tara Moore, I highly recommend it. Read it. Or do the audio version. That's what I did. I listened to the audio version. And anyway, she brings up two different kinds of fear or being scared. One of them is when, like a happy scared or something in your life is going on that should be happy, but you're nervous or scared. Like for some of us, if you've ever been married or prom night, let's hear, what are some of the others? If you've ever given a speech somewhere, maybe you're even nervous for your child to graduate from high school, right? There's that kind of scariness mixed in with something exciting, right? And it's still scary of the unknown because you don't know what's going to happen next. Or even the scariness of starting a new job, right? You have no idea how that job is going to turn out, and so you're scared. And then there's the other kind of scared or fear where you are truly being chased by a bear or an intruder in your home, right? That deep, deep fear where you truly are scared and you're trembling and your life is on the line. Or scared if you've ever been diagnosed for a disease. If you're a cancer survivor, you have battled one of the biggest scares and fears out there, right? You have been on the edge of possibly thinking about, is this it? Is this all the life I've been given? Or we've even supported a family member or a close friend through a situation like this, and we know how scary that is. Yes, so do recognize that there's two different kinds of fear or being scared out there. That fear of the unknown, of taking a step, going into something new. That's a completely different fear and scare than being faced with life or death. So when you start to, in your mind, think about, oh, I don't want to do that. That scares me, right? Oh, I don't want to get on that roller coaster. That scares me. I don't want to quit the job that I have and start a new job. Even though I'm miserable, starting a new job scares me. So be impeccable with your words and what you manifest. And even the meaning behind, why are you scared? Is it just a fear that you have because you're overthinking something? Or are you truly in a life or death situation? Now, throughout this video, I really want to focus on the two different kinds of fear. Because moving on in your future is generally getting over a fear that's all up here in your head. Now, that fear that is up there in your head could spur from a real type of situation. Maybe you have had an intruder in your house. That's some real fear, right? Having an intruder in your house. Maybe you have been in a car accident, a plane crash, whatever. You do take on some pretty heavy fears with that. Maybe you have been chased by a bear. I don't know. Anyway, that real raw fear that maybe you did experience at some time in your life, it does stick in your head too. It's not just a fear of a roller coaster or a new job. It's true fear. Somebody possibly has violated you in some way, which is what makes you not want to move on. So we can get stuck in that. We can. I get it. I really do get it. I've had some real fears in my life beyond being afraid of the roller coaster or a new job. And it does make you hesitant. So I don't want to discount that. If you have experienced some kind of true trauma in your life, I'm not going to discount that. But do know that you don't have to let that trauma define you. Yeah, don't let it define you. Don't attach to it. Don't let it stop you from living into your future. Be cautious. Learn from our experiences. Learn from any mistakes. Learn from any kind of trauma that you've been through in life. But don't let it stop you from living your life and moving on. And do know that you're not alone either. Many of us have experienced trauma and heartbreaks, and we still continue on. We really do. There's some people out there that have some pretty scary story. You see them on TV, on the news, whatever it is. And it's not just on the TV and news. I'm just using that as examples right now. I have my sister-in-law. I have a sister-in-law from when I was married that she, when she presented divorce papers to her wanting to be soon-to-be ex-husband, she presented divorce papers to him. He showed up at her place of work and asked her to go into a conference room and have a conversation with her. And he took her life and then took his own life right there at her place of work. And while it wasn't me who went through it, it was somebody very close to me and dear to me, my sister-in-law, the aunt of my son. So it can happen in our lives or in lives close to us. It doesn't just happen on TV is what I'm getting at here when I mentioned we see it on TV. So I do know that these things can happen and they can hit close to home. They can hit very close to home. They happen to each and every one of us. It can happen to any of us. But it's what you do afterwards, how you react. When you allow yourself some time to feel and grieve and heal, then it's also time to get back on and move on with your life. Also, many of you know, if you haven't ever heard my story, I'm not going to take too long talking about it, but I have 2 brothers and my mother that have died from incurable diseases. My brother that I never met, he died at age of 6, I believe, from liver failure. I never met him. I was born after him. My oldest brother, he died of brain cancer. He was diagnosed at the age of 20 and fought it until he was 30 and then passed away with brain cancer. My mother died in her 50s of breast cancer. And my dad is a colon cancer survivor, as well as struggles with a couple of autoimmune diseases like rheumatoid arthritis and such. So I have experienced watching them, my oldest brother and my mother. I was very much alive and went through their illnesses with them and experienced that. And also that could build a lot of fear or scare, right? That can be classified as another fear or scare that, wow, what does my future have in store for me health-wise, right? The truth is time doesn't wait for anybody. And I don't know when my day or my number is up, but I do know that time doesn't wait for anybody. And if you're thinking that time is going to wait for you, or maybe actually usually when we're putting things off, it's quite the opposite. We're not thinking about time at all. We're just putting it off because we don't want to deal with it. We're in denial. But time doesn't wait for anybody. You need to live your life and you need to get out there and do something. So definitely know the difference between the 2 fears. Do know that one of the fears, the traumatic fear, can stick with us. The other fear is just your mind making up stories that, oh, I don't want to switch jobs or get on that roller coaster. And yes, we can get through these things. We can. Our past, I do believe that our past is a big, big part of who we are today and our future. So as we work through our past, we're going to need to work through our past a little bit to try and figure out, when did we start having these fears? What is the basis of being scared of change? So this video, this class, can be tough. This class alone can maybe get a little bit scary to open up those old traumatic wounds. But you need to know where that fear started so that you can overcome it. Because ever since that fear or that trauma happened in your life, then your mind is what keeps repeating it and stopping you and creating those limiting beliefs that's keeping you from accomplishing something else. So we need to figure out when that mindset started to happen so we can overcome that mindset. So that's just a little bit of background on being scared and fear. I want you to understand that so that whenever we start to connect the dots of the past of how we got to this point, know that these are all just going to be stories in your head. You're safe, you're sound, you're on your computer, you're in your home maybe, or in your car on a lunch break, whatever it is. I want you to be in a safe place whenever we explore these connecting of the dots. We can do this. So get some water, a cup of tea, whatever you need. Pause the video, go pee. Because if this scares the pee out of you, then you better go take care of that pee, and then let's get back to this. All right? All right, we're back. Did you go pee? So that we don't have to worry about scaring the piss out of you? All right. So in your workbook, page 1 of Connecting the Dots workbook, we have for the first question, what are your life goals? So this first one, I really want you to, in the box, fill out what are your life goals. Is it getting a new job that maybe you're happier about? An entrepreneur, maybe you've always wanted to create your own business. Anything goes here, and you have to list at least 10 or more. So truly anything goes here, anything from pottery to starting your own business and anything in between. And I will, for a moment here, brainstorm with you. So leave this on for a moment if you need some help brainstorming. Otherwise, you can pause it at any time if you need quiet space to write down your own. But again, just, a little bit of brainstorming. Is it taking on a pottery class? Is it entrepreneur? You want to start your own business? Is it losing weight? And you can put down multiple things because you might have multiple goals. So that's another reason why you're going to do 10 or more, because you might have more than one thing you want to overcome. Is it even finding yourself, falling in love with yourself? Because relationship, now you can put relationship on there. If you're single right now and you're looking for a relationship, you can put that on there. Put it on there because anything goes here. But if you're going to put finding a relationship on there, you also need to put on there finding yourself. Because finding yourself is the first relationship that you need. You need to fall in love with yourself. You need to love yourself before you can love others. That is the hard facts and truth right there. But do put it on there. If that's one of your goals, put it on there because anything goes. Do you want to go back to school? Is there something you want to learn? Now, just to throw out there, if you listened to my video, my trailer on what I used to promote this class, then you heard me talk about that at one time I wanted to be an acupuncturist. But the 7 to 8 years of college was a little bit overwhelming to me to do that. Well, just so you know, that was like 10 or 13 years ago that I wanted to do that, and I put it off, and I would be an acupuncturist now. Now, sometimes our goals, we need a little flexibility. Our goals can change and shift. So while I didn't accomplish becoming an acupuncturist, I connected some other dots that got me pretty darn close to it, and maybe that was what was meant to be. Either way, I didn't sit on the couch for the last 10 to 13 years and continue to wish I was something that I wasn't and didn't even try and accomplish something near it, right? So the last 13 years I've been super busy with taking on yoga, master herbalist, I'm an esthetician, licensed esthetician, and everything in between. So I have been busy for 10 to 13 years. But hindsight, it's like, wow, I would already be a acupuncturist for 5 years if I would have just dove in right then. I'm happy with where I ended up. Again, I didn't sit on the couch wishing something would come my way. I still got out and did something, accomplished something, and made some things happen. And here I am today. So I'm pretty proud of that. So you do need to have some flexibility in your goals, that they may not happen exactly as we map it out today. But if you never take the time to sit down and write these down, then for sure they're not going to happen. So that was going back to school to do something. Don't ever think that you're too old to learn something new, because that's part of this too, right? Is we're never too old to grow and change in the form of new growth. Do you want to spend more time helping others? Do you want to eat more consistently? So maybe you get on the bandwagon of eating healthy, but you don't stay on it. We get on kicks and fad diets, but we don't stay consistent with it. So you need to find something that you're going to stay consistent with. For me, educating myself on health and nutrition, constantly staying up to date on what's going on and learning more about my body and how my body even processes sugar. When I learned about the bodily functions and how we process sugar, it made me really be like, I really don't want to put all that extra sugar in my body because it's not doing me any good. So I'm definitely a why girl. I want to know why something's not so good for me. Now, I don't want to say I avoid sugar completely. I eat a lot of fruit and every now and then have something that might be pumped up with a little cane sugar. But I'm talking about those mass tablespoons of white sugar and candy and everything constantly. I have a little bag of candy that I have had for like 2 or 3 months because I eat one piece here and there. And Bill just jokes about it because he's like, if I had that bag of candy, it'd be gone in 2 days, but yet I can have it for 2 or 3 months. So while I am I don't deprive myself of things, I also don't dive in too deeply. So what is it for you that you want to accomplish? Yoga 5 times per week, 6 times per week, 4, maybe even 2 days a week is more than what you were doing. But I really want you to shoot for some good goals here. If you think you want to try and do yoga 2 days a week or exercise 2 days a week, put down 5 on your list, right? And let's aim for more, because that's what this is about, trying to get more out of your life. So let's aim for more. Maybe you want to move to another state, city. Let's hear. Maybe you own your own business or whatever you do for work. You do have a lot of independence in it, but you want to create your own brand. Like for me with yoga, I've taught yoga for almost 10 years and I've taught for other studios, but then I got a hankering that I want my own brand of yoga. I want people to say, yeah, I like doing yoga with Renee. I like her style, right? So there's an example of creating your own brand. You want to increase your income to 6 figures or more. Or maybe you're already at 6 figures and you want to increase to where you're comfortably in that 6 figures, not just barely there. Let's hear what else. Maybe you want to avoid winter and move to Maui with me. Yeah, maybe. Come on down. And maybe you want to comfortably pay your bills and have money for travel and toys. Some of these things are my own personal goals that I'm sharing with you. But if you're still writing down your 10 things, go ahead and pause this right now and finish writing them down without hearing me talk. Because sometimes when you hear somebody talk, it's really hard to focus on your own. I'm going to keep talking. So if you need to pause, pause. Because I'm going to move on to the next thing. All right, if you have unpaused, hopefully you're ready to move on to page 2 of our goal setting. So page 2, what is your mess that gets in the way of you accomplishing these dreams or goals? What is your mess? So take a moment here to write down your story. My story, as I have shared with you, is having my mother and my brother dying of cancer and helping them through that time. I didn't really accomplish much in my life while I was helping them. While I was raising my son, a lot of my life was focused on him and making sure that he accomplishes his goals and grows up. Let's hear, maybe you've had a traumatic experience. Maybe you've been chased by that bear, right? Maybe you've been violated somehow. There's several reasons. Maybe you had an abusive parent, an alcoholic in your family, but this mess to where whatever took you out of that zone to where you couldn't just focus on yourself, you had to focus on somebody else. Or again, you had something traumatic happen to you. Maybe, a silly story. Maybe you got in a car accident on a snowy day, so therefore now you won't drive on a snowy day because you have that in your mind, how that accident happened when there was snow out there. So that's just an analogy. And I want you to truly get raw with yourself here and write down, what's your mess? What is it in your mind that creates this mess? Did you have your heart broken? Somebody convinced you that they loved you and they were there for you, and then you found out they weren't. Maybe they're cheating on you. Were you cheated on? Were you lied to? Friends, did you have a friend deceive you? Whatever it is, I know this is probably the hardest part of this class, but I do want you to dig in deep. So pause this video right now and write down your mess. Get raw with yourself. And if you don't write it down, then it's not going to be real. And we need to make this real. Stop being in denial. Again, I know this is the hardest part here, but you can do this. What is your mess? What is it that creates all that limiting belief in your head? What gets in the way? What creates all those excuses? What creates that you don't feel good enough, strong enough, smart enough? Did somebody tell you that? Or did you somehow just decide that? So go ahead, pause the video again. In a moment here, I'm going to move on to the next page. So if you're not ready to move on to the next page, here's your little warning to pause the video. I'm going to drink some water. All right. If you've unpaused, hopefully you're ready for page 3 of our workbook. Page 3, characteristics. So your characteristics. We're going to take a moment here. Maybe you pre-read some of these pages and you kind of knew this stuff was coming up. But page 3, you're good. What are your good characteristics? We're going to start with the good. Yes, yes, yes. So I want you to list at least 20 or more of your good characteristics. I put a little sample in there like creative, right? And just to go over my list, I listed these out myself. But maybe some of these things will be on your list or it'll spur some ideas for you. But I have on mine, I am good at troubleshooting. I have an attention to detail. I love being outdoors. I like to help people. I have patience when patience is understood. What I mean by that is if I truly understand why somebody or something is the way it is. I'm a why girl. I love to know why things work or why things happen the way they do. But when I have an understanding of something, I have much more patience rather than somebody just telling me because. Don't ever tell me because. Anyways, I have patience when patience is meant to be understood. So, yes, I do have conditions to my patience. But for the most part, I'm a pretty patient person. I'm creative, loving. I have a passion for health and wellness. I like to read for knowledge. I'm always wanting to learn more. I research my opinions. I resist trying to have an opinion just because. Again, there's that word because. Because is like a very vague word for me, and I don't do well with it. I myself hold myself to that standard. I don't do something just because. I have usually a reason or a why I do what I do. I listen to others. I weigh the pros and cons. I can make an informed decision. I can do things unplanned. Some things I like to plan, but sometimes I can just go with the flow. I am good at planning though, like right now, planning my move to Maui and figuring out how to ship my vehicles, when to fly on an airplane, looking for sales for plane tickets. So I can plan when planning is necessary. And, I have on here, I know a lot of shit. I do. I know some random things. I have a lot of knowledge I love to share. So yeah, I just narrowed it down to I know a lot of shit. And I am relatively healthy, right? Those are my good things. So, all right, pause right now if you need silence to get through this, get through your own list, but that's just to share with you my list. All right, we're back. If you unpaused, you're back. Now we do the not so good list. Yeah, maybe the naughty list, Anyway, again, at least list 20 or more. And some examples, I put procrastinate in parentheses there. And just to share a few from my list again, just like I did with the good list. Why not? You might as well get to know me better, and hopefully it helps maybe you think of some things and encourages you to know that you're not alone. Anyways, my not so good. I procrastinate, of course. That's why I put it in parentheses, and that's the first one on my list. I get discouraged easily, especially to the no. I don't like it whenever people say no to me. It's kind of one of the hardest things about even owning my own business is people saying no to me, or maybe they don't say no to me, but they don't interact with my business, and I get really disappointed and wonder, is this really the business or the job that I want to be doing? Because I'm getting crickets. So I hate no and I hate crickets. It's a not so good side of me because I really start to get anxiety and even some jealousy whenever I see somebody else in a similar line of work as me doing better. So there you go. Raw. Putting it out there for you. And let's see here. I get frustrated, and the not so good side of me is I can't understand why people won't listen. Yeah, that's a big pet peeve of mine. I dislike whenever people say they're going to do something and they don't do it. It's like they're not even listening to themselves. So that's kind of whenever I say I don't like it whenever people don't listen, because it's almost like they're not listening to themselves. And I easily get distracted. That's part of my not so good. I overthink things. While in my good characteristics I have that I'm good at troubleshooting and attention to detail, I can also take that to the extreme and overthink. All right, I can overreact to stupid things. And I get uncomfortable when it comes to money and sales. There again, putting it out there. And let's see here. I sometimes give the unsolicited advice when the timing is off. My filter, I have good intentions, but sometimes my filter doesn't work so well, and I can give unsolicited advice when the timing is not right. And I can take things personally until I know the whole story. One thing that we have to learn as a yoga instructor is that, especially if somebody gets up and leaves the room early, you can't take that personally. They might have something else going on in their life or an injury or something like that, and that's why they get up and leave the room. But you can't, as a yoga instructor, take it personally, and you can't make everybody happy. I actually know of one time somebody got up and left class early. She came to my class 2 days later and she told me she was so sorry that she got up and left class early, but she had remembered that she put a squash in the oven to cook. So she was baking a squash, and you do want to bake a squash slowly over time to get it nice and soft and edible. So she remembered about 15-20 minutes into class that she put a squash in the oven. So thank goodness she remembered, because she got home before it burnt. But that's a good example of why you shouldn't take things personally, because they may have left a squash in the oven and they got to go home and take care of it, right? You don't know the whole story. But my initial reaction is I do take things personally. I overthink things and I take it personally. And it's here. I'll do a couple more. I'm not very consistent. I'll put that out there as well. I can lose train of thought. When I get sick, I get very sick. So I don't get sick very often, but when I do, I get very sick. I often actually, believe it or not, fear the worst and think the worst. Again, I overthink things. I let my thoughts get carried away with me. And yeah, I'm going to let you all, ooh, this is a good one. I get in my own way. How many of you get in your own way? Right? All right, so what's your not so good list? Pause and write it down. Be honest with yourself. If you're not good at honesty, you better write that one down, right? If you live in a lot of denial, you better write that down as a not so good. So what are your not so good characteristics? Pause and work through that. All right, if you've unpaused your back and maybe you're ready for page 4. So page 4, what makes you good at your good things? All right, so now when you look back at that list of good things, what makes you good at that? Example, maybe your mom always encouraged you, and so it made you want to be better because, let's face it, we like to be encouraged, and especially we like to know we have somebody's approval, right, that we're doing good. So what makes you good at your good things? This is where we get into your why. And let's see here. So what makes me good at my things? So for instance, the troubleshooting that I am good at. I'm really good at troubleshooting. And it's because I like to know why. And it's not good enough for me for somebody to tell me because, Renee, because that's how it is. That drives me absolutely nuts and makes me want to know why even more. So I'm good at troubleshooting and figuring things out. And I'm good at sticking to a healthy diet because, like I said, once I figured out why or how the body works, then I'm like, oh, that makes complete sense. So therefore I want to eat healthy because then my body will function better. So I'm a why person. And me constantly digging to know why is what makes me good at even health and nutrition and what I do. So take a moment here and write down what makes you good at the things that you're good at. And again, as we're digging into the past, it could come down to something as simple as because my mom encouraged me or my dad encouraged me or some other role model in your life encouraged you and it made you want to continue to thrive more. Maybe you cooked something that everybody found was delicious and you got a really good warm fuzzy feeling about it, so it made you want to dig even deeper into being a good cook. And that's what makes you good at cooking. So take a moment here, pause this video and write down some things. What makes you good at it? Did your grandma teach you how to cook? Is that why you're so good at cooking? So I want you to know why you're good at things. Maybe you were around your grandfather or your grandmother and they taught you a few things. Or your mom, your dad, a role model again. I'm starting to repeat myself. Anyways, pause. Take a moment and write down the things that you're good at. All right. If you did pause, maybe you've unpaused by now and you're ready for the next one. So what makes you not so good? When you look at your list of the things that you're not so good at, what makes you not so good? For example, I put in there, somebody told me I wasn't good enough. That's a big one, right? Or again, being violated. Something traumatic in your life made you decide that you're not good at something. I'll tell you, owning my own business, and for years I've done sales. I've done sales for other businesses too. Years and years of people telling me no is a lot of the times what makes me not so good at certain things. I get crushed. I'm such an empath. I'm so emotionally driven that I can want to walk away from something and ignore it and never look at it again because being told no. So where did that come from, right? Was it my peers in school? Was it my parents? I don't know. I honestly don't 100% know where that comes from. Besides the fact that I'm a people pleaser and like I said, I'm an empath, I very easily emotionally absorb people's emotions and feelings. And also talking about money makes things sometimes really uncomfortable. I haven't 100%, I'll be honest with you, I haven't 100% narrowed down where I started those belief cycles, but they're very much there. And even though I haven't narrowed it down to the T exactly when all that started to happen, when my mind started thinking that, overthinking it, but every day I have to remind myself that I can overcome it and I can get through it and I can do what I do because I have so much passion in what I want to share, and learning that even money as an exchange of energy has helped me. So to not feel guilty about making money doing what I do has been a big part of my growing and figuring out what makes me not so good at my not so good stuff. So take a moment here. This one might even take some time for you to truly figure out how to overcome the things that make you not so good at what you do. Maybe you know immediately. You've already written it down and you wish I would just shut up because you're ready to move on. Either way, pause the video, take a moment in silence here, and answer this. All right, we're back. Hopefully you unpaused because you're ready to move on. So we have page 5 now. Page 5. Let's see, I have a little quote at the top. If you're not scared and things are easy for you, then you are not changing. Change is hard and scary, but to do nothing is settling and not living your life to its fullest. And don't fool yourself, because things are hard. Does health and nutrition come easy to me? Yes. So in this statement where I say, if things are easy for you, then you are not changing. So there's a little bit of playing in the words here. Health and nutrition comes easy to me, but I've also shared with you the part of my work that doesn't come easy to me, and that's selling and talking money and all of that. So that stuff is scary to me to talk about that. I'm afraid I'm going to scare people away by talking about money. I so want to help people that I don't want to scare them away by talking about money. I know, right? It's all in my head. I overthink it, and I'm sharing this with you. I'm being very raw with you in this video because I want you to know that we all have these moments. Any rate, our next question here. Do you actually believe the things you are not so good at? Yeah, do you actually believe you're not so good at? So for me, do I actually believe that I'm not good at selling? Do I actually believe that what I have to offer isn't worth money, the exchange of energy in the form of money? Do I actually believe that? Well, you know what? The answer to that, being raw and true with you, is the answer to that is sometimes yes. Not even sometimes. A lot of times it is yes. So I have a lot that I would have to overcome every day because I'm going to be honest with you, the answer to that is yes, that I often don't believe that my knowledge and what I have to share is worthy of an exchange of energy in the form of money. So that's why it's one of my mantras. My mantras are generally money is an exchange of energy. I love money and money loves me. That is the things that I have to work on these days. Don't get me wrong, I have other crazy things going on in my head too, but that's one of the bigger ones right now, because I really found myself in a hole, and financially I was getting deeper into that hole, and in the meantime I just wanted to give everything away for free, but it wasn't doing myself any good. I was just digging myself deeper into a hole of debt. Anyway, I want you to, for a moment here, sit down. Do you actually believe the things you are not so good at? Or do you think you can overcome them with willingness and mastering your mindset? Obviously, you're doing this video today, so I overcame something to promote this masterclass, and you're doing it with me today, right? I continue to push through the things that scare me. I pushed through the thought of scaring you away, but here you are. You've invested in yourself, first and foremost. I think what helps me get through this is thinking that you invested in yourself, and then here we are together doing this. So, pause the video again. Answer that question. Do you actually believe the things you are not so good at? Or do you think you can overcome them with willingness and mastering your mindset? So you're probably going to be able to answer that question two ways, just like I did. Yes, a lot of the times I do believe the reason why I'm not so good at something. But the answer is yes, I can overcome these things. I can master my mindset and be positive, and I can do this. So, pause the video, answer that question. All right, if you're back, hopefully you've answered that question, you've pondered it, you've thought about it, resonates with you, you know why. All right, so now moving on to page 6. Page 6 is a big one. It is our goal. So, if on page 1, right? It was page 1, yes. If on page 1 you were able to list out 10 goals, I want you to go back to page 1 and let's pick our battles here. So prioritize a little bit, and which one do you want to work through right now? It's really truly up to you if you want to pick a tough goal or you want to pick an easy one. Easy would be like pottery class, right? Getting to pottery class. A tough one would be a new job, moving out of state, completely uprooting your life, ending a relationship that may not be serving you well, or even losing weight. Let's come back to that one too. So pick one of your goals. What I want you to do is, I want you to maybe save on your computer several times to where you can have this sheet more than once. Or if you're printing it out, print out more than once so you can put each goal. So if you want to work through all 10 of those, you need 10 of these, right? But for the purpose of right now, narrow down what's most important to you, or which one do you want to start with. And then at the very top there where it says goal, you're going to fill that in. Put in whatever goal we're going to work on right now. One at a time. It doesn't mean that you can't print these 10 out, fill all 10 out, and then you have these 10 to work on. But right now, for the purpose of this video, we just want to start with one. So pick one of your goals or dreams that you want to work on, and we're gonna fill in these dots. And I suppose for the purpose of this, for the first one, or just to talk you through this for a moment here, before you start writing this out, let's talk through pottery class. Why not? Let's keep that theme going. Let's say you have wanted to learn how to make pottery. One of the first things that you're going to do is probably research it, right? Or in your mind, do you already know what kind of pottery you make? Do you just want to make this simple? Do you want a coffee mug? Do you want to grow flowers in it? Put some dirt, a tomato plant, whatever it is, right? So that's kind of dot number one. Like, why do you want to make pottery? And when you do make pottery, what kind of use do you want out of it? Do you want to be able to fill your entire kitchen cabinets with your own pottery? Or do you want to grow tomato plants in it? So that would kind of be dot number one. The goal is learning how to make pottery. Dot number one is going to be your why. Why do you want to do this? Because we need to know why we want to do something and before we can do it. Because well, I'm a why person and you're doing this masterclass with me. But I do believe in this theory of wanting to know why. This theory works with the yoga chain of yoga studios I work with. They're always promoting or encouraging you to know your why. So I will admit this isn't 100% something that I came up with, but whenever I started hearing this question, why, I'm like, that's me. I totally resonate with the why. So this works. I know it does. So your dot number one is often going to be your why. Why do you want to make pottery? So that you have an idea of what kind of pottery you're going to make. So when you're researching classes. So dot number two might be get on the internet, Google pottery classes near me. And then you're going to find some places pop up. So lately these days they have those paint me's or whatever, where you just go in, the pottery's already made and you just paint it. And then you leave it with them. They put it in the firing kiln thing. And a week later they call you and tell you your pottery's ready, right? So that's just painting it. So you're probably going to pull up some of those because they're quick and they're simple, and you're going to pull up some of those, and maybe that will suit your purpose. Maybe you do just want to paint your pottery. You don't actually want to make it. That kind of goes back up to the why a little bit. So dot number two is finding a place. Or do you want to seek out maybe a community college or something in your area where they truly are doing pottery with the spinny tables straight from the mud and the clay, and you're sticking your hands in it, and that really excites you, and that's what you want to do. So dot number two is Googling, finding a place where you can do pottery, and make sure it's the right place. You don't want to just show up and find out, oh, I'm just painting the pottery. I was really hoping to make it from scratch. So do your due diligence there. Make sure it's the pottery place you want to go with. Dot number three is actually setting a date. Choose a date. If it is a class at a community college, they probably have a start date, and then it runs for 4 weeks, 5 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, whatever, right? So you're going to map it out on your calendar. Do these days work for me? Do these times work for me? And then dot number four might be to actually commit. You're going to go down and make the payment. So you've figured out what kind of pottery you want to do. You figure out where you want to do it. You figured out if the dates and the times work for you. And then step four, you're going to pay for it. You're going to go down there. So these are dots that we're starting to connect. Step five, you actually go down there. You start taking the classes. And if it is a series of classes, you go to each class each week or 2 nights a week, whatever it is. You accomplish it. You come home, you got your pottery, you fill your cabinets or plant a tomato plant in it, and voila, you have completed a goal, right? So again, the pottery one should be easy. If you've been putting off making pottery, I'm sorry to say that you are a fool, because look at how simple that was, right? In 5 steps. So your bigger goals may not map out quite that easily. But still, I want you to go ahead and pause this video, and with your goal at the top, remember, if you have more than one goal, you're going to do more than one sheet. Right now, though, for the purpose of getting through this video, you might want to just do one goal at a time. but you can replay this video and get back through these again. So right now, pick a goal. You're either going to pick it based on priority. This is something that you really want to do, so you're going to do it today so you don't put it off. Or you're going to pick a simple one like the pottery just so that you can get through the worksheets. Either way, pause, sit down, and write out your dots. Remember, there can be a little bit of flexibility here. My story about being an acupuncturist. If my goal was to be an acupuncturist, then I would put goal at the top, acupuncturist. Same thing, I would start to research some schools. Do the dates and the times that they're offering work for me? And then eventually, financially, how can I pull this off? Do I need to get a loan? And eventually getting to the point where I start taking classes and it's reoccurring until I'm done with it, right? But some flexibility in there. Maybe you can't get the financing to go to acupuncture school, so you need to move on to plan B. But plan B is becoming a master herbalist or a yoga instructor. And maybe someday you can get back to the acupuncturist. It doesn't mean I can't still sign up for some classes tomorrow, and in 7 or 8 years I could be an acupuncturist. I haven't taken it off the table completely, not yet. But right now my biggest priority is getting my ass down to Maui. If you know me well, you know that that's my priority right now. Or if you're watching these videos around the time that I'm moving. So, leave some room for some flexibility here, but pause the video and fill them out. All right, I'll stop talking for a moment here. Hi, all right, good, you're back, woohoo. Let's keep rolling. If you want to share any of these with me, just because you need an accountability, I am here for you. Because you did this program, I am here for you. You can email me. We can set up a time to talk or chat in person, but you can definitely email me. My email address, while we're here, why not? I might as well say it. reneestahl108@gmail.com. More than likely, you've gotten an email from me at some point or another to know that. All my newsletters and even, I believe, the receipts whenever you purchase something all has that email address in it as well. But yeah, it's just my name, reneestahl108@gmail.com. If you ever want to run any of these things by me, please do. I've already said I love to help people, so let's do this together. And I appreciate you being here, but most of all, you appreciate yourself, right? Right? You're doing this for you, so good for you. All right, page 7. You can go back to page 6 at any time whenever you want to get through some of those other goals and dreams that you put on page 1. But we're going to move on to page 7 for now. So page 7, let's look at some positive affirmations and mantras that we can come up with to help remind ourselves daily that these are our goals and what we need to accomplish. Obviously, if you sign up for school or even pottery class, acupuncture school, whatever it is, obviously now you have a whole agenda that the school has given you to keep you on track, and you're going to go and keep going. But some of our other goals, like losing weight, you don't have that accountability from another source, like a school that's going to make sure that you get to school, or you're not going to complete your certificate. Why can't I say that? Your certification. Woo! Let's just take a moment and laugh. I'm not even going to edit that out. I promise you. I'm leaving this in here. Anyways, if you are going back to school, then you have somebody keeping you accountable to get your certification or your license or even your doctorate, whatever it is, right? You have that accountability. But let's say it's losing weight. You don't have so much of that accountability, which is why a lot of us, whenever it comes to losing weight, we fall off that wagon easily. Because especially if you've done a diet, the diet lasts for a week, 2 weeks, a month, like the Whole30 diet. I think that the Whole30 diet is amazing because they're promoting that you eat whole foods for 30 days. But that's the catch. I wish it was just called, the whole life diet. Why 30 days? Why? Keep it going forever. It should be the whole life diet, not the whole 30 diet. And so anyways, when you plant those seeds in your head is what I'm getting at, that whole power of suggestion, that I've talked to people and I've talked to them about, eating something, baking something, and they're like, oh, I can't do that because I'm on the whole 30 right now. So for a month, I got to eat the whole 30 diet. Wow, why is it just for a month? Because then you're already planning the moment you told somebody, oh, I can't go have beers with you right now because I'm on the whole 30 diet. So what? You're saying that when you're done with that whole 30 diet, things are just going to blow up and you're going to go back to your old ways? No. Get the whole 30 diet book if you're curious. But you know what? Don't let that number 30 plant in your head. Or if you want a number to plant in your head, it's the whole 365 times how many more years you want to live, right? Times 10, that's what? 3,650 days? And then just keep multiplying that because hopefully I live more than just 10 more years. Again, who knows though, right? Anyway, if you have to put a number in your head, make it 1,000,000, 1,000. I don't know. But resist limiting yourself to 30 days, right? Let it be a lifestyle change. Because if you are in that yo-yo dieting world, the reason why it's not sticking is because of it's because of what you're manifesting. So manifestation, if you don't know, it's what you're manifesting. For instance, I didn't realize this until I did some soul searching, a lot of goal planning, like what we're talking about right here, right now. One of my goals was to figure out how to increase my income to 6 figures. Yes. I have some big goals. Anyway, first of all, though, I needed to figure out where my relationship with money went sour. Now, my lack of being able to handle no's or people not responding to what I'm trying to put out there, like I said, I'm just very emotionally attached and take things personally. So that part, I don't 100% know where that comes from, except for maybe the fact that my mom was just a really sweet person and emotional, I think, herself. And so I just absorbed that part emotionally, and that might be something I may never get over because I don't 100% know where it spurs, and it's what makes me who I am. But there's something to be said for that, right? I'm a very caring person. But I have figured out at what point in my life did I decide that I didn't need money. There is that aspect. I figured out that when I worked in the software industry and was a graphic designer and everything for many years, I worked a lot of hours per week, and my son was in daycare for 50 or more hours a week with commuting to work and having a full-time job in a corporate business. Well, when I got laid off from that job, I was more than happy to be laid off, and I started to manifest that I don't care what I do as long as I spend more time with my son. So I started to manifest that. So I do know when I started to make very little money. I know when I went down that rabbit hole of not making a lot of money. And I manifested, I don't care what I do as long as I'm happy with what I'm doing and I have more time with my son. Well, I created that. I found that. Health and nutrition and yoga got me out from the cubicle world of software and graphic design. But it took me a long ways from the salary I was making at that time. I had a lot of money. At a time in my life when I had a lot of money, my mom was dying, I was going through divorce, becoming a single parent, and feeling guilty for my son being in childcare all the time and being a single parent. So when I got laid off, I dove right on into, I don't care how much money I have, I just want to spend more time with my son. So that's when I started to manifest being able to live on the bare minimum, that I didn't need a lot of money to survive as long as I had my son and we were happy and we were together. So I do know that that's where I manifested that. So in order to get me and my goals to my 6 figures that I want to make, I had to take a trip down memory lane and connect those dots to figure out that that's how I got to the point where I was surviving on only $25,000 a year, right? So I got to quadruple my income. I do. And so I had to start connecting the dots of the past to figure out where that started. But we don't realize how much we're manifesting things. So every day my mindset was I don't care what I'm doing. I want to be with my son. That's what I manifested, was the whole I don't care. Are you guys hearing that as I say it? I manifested I don't care. The more I kept repeating I don't care. Just like how a second ago I was trying to get you to understand the 30 days. The more you repeat, oh, I'm on the whole 30. Oh, I'm on the whole 30. Do you hear what you're manifesting? You're manifesting the 30 days, right? Rather than a lifetime of eating whole foods. So just let that soak in for just a second. I need a sip of water. Tasty. Anyway, manifestation is huge. So what are you manifesting? When you go back through the last 6 pages and everything, what are you naturally manifesting, right? Relationships, are you manifesting, oh, I'm not meant to be in a relationship? Believe it or not, I was there one time after my divorce and going on several dates and them not working out. I manifested, I'm not meant to be with a man. I'm just meant to raise a man, my son. I started to accept that it was just going to be my son and I. However, through some of that acceptance, we had some great times, and I started to even fall in love with myself again and realize how independent I could be, that I wasn't dependent on anybody else, that I could raise my son, and him and I, we could go snowboarding. We could get in a car and go snowboarding. We didn't need anybody else. We didn't need a man in our lives to drive us to go snowboarding. So I started to become really independent and learning who I was through all of that. And then eventually found love again with Bill, and we've been together for 16 years. But I did have to go through a period of time where I had to learn how to love myself, take care of myself, and realize that I can depend on myself and be myself. Anyways, lots of manifesting, right, going on. But if you're in a place right now where you're like, oh, I need a relationship, I need somebody, listen to that. I need. You are manifesting that need. Well, that need, the moment you meet somebody else, male, female, whether you're a man listening to this right now or a female listening to this right now, if you are using that word need and you're meeting somebody and somehow they are hearing you say the word need, then that neediness is going to come through and it scares them away and makes them go away. Or you're going to attract the wrong thing. You're going to find somebody just as needy as you, and they're going to suck you dry, right? You've been there before too. Or they're lying to you because they need something from you for them to feel whole. So they're lying to you and it's all needy. All right, so these are some really good examples I've thrown out there about what you're manifesting. I've thrown out from eating, manifesting what you're thinking. Like if you're on the Whole 30 diet, you're only manifesting 30 days. The money thing, my own example. I started to say I don't care what I do as long as I spend time with my son. I manifested that. Or the relationship thing. If you're manifesting that you need somebody in your life, then by all means, that's what you're going to get, is somebody who's needy, or you being needy is going to scare them away, right? So start to, for a moment here, if you even want to stop for a moment, look back at some of your papers and see if there's a common link in there. If you have, in any of your stories, used some terminology that maybe you're manifesting. So let's take a break for a moment here. All right, we're back. So page 7 is all about positive affirmations and mantras so that you are manifesting the right things. So you're manifesting positive things. So when we look at page 7, I have them listed out there for you. Positive affirmations and mantras always start out like an I am statement. I can, I have, I love, I recognize, I am blessed with. So I want you to sit down and fill these out. Now you might need to revisit the other pages to help fill this out. So just to share with you my I am, giving my family's history with health, then my I am statement is always, I start any of my meditations and my mantras with, I am healthy and I am balanced. Now, here's something really important I want you to take in. Notice that my I am statement, even given all the cancer history in my family, my I am statement isn't, I am cancer free, right? You would almost think that that might be one of my mantras, is that I am cancer free. But what do you hear there? You hear the word cancer. Just like with the Whole30, what do you hear? You hear 30 days. Just like whenever I said, I don't care what I'm doing as long as I have time with my son, what do you hear? I don't care. Right? So you hear the negativity in it. Cancer is a negative word. I think we can all agree. Raise your hand. Do you agree? Cancer is negative. So you want to resist having negative words in your positive affirmations and your mantras. So really, it's what I truly want to be. I am healthy and I am balanced. You want to be really careful about what you say. Leave the negative words out. It's just simply, I am healthy and I am balanced, because that is truly what I want. I also have I've dealt with a lot of hormone imbalances in my life. And even a little bit of blood sugar issues, right? All of that falls into being balanced. Also, balanced can fall into being balanced financially, that I'm easily paying my bills, living the life I want, and even have money left over to buy some toys like paddle boards and whatever else I want that keeps me happy. Right now, all I can think of is surfing and paddle boards because I'm moving. Anyway, I am healthy and I am balanced encompasses a lot of things. Plain and simple, and there's no negativity in that. My second one, I can. I can help others. Because what I want to do is share my knowledge and help others. So simply put, I can help others. Now, I don't need to get in there and say, I can help others get over their depression. Because what do you hear? You hear the word depression. So just keep it simple, keep it clear. I can help others. My next one is, I have an abundance of opportunities ahead of me. I have an abundance of opportunities ahead of me. Once again, very positive, resisting putting anything negative in there. I don't have in there, I have the will to get over my depression. Again, the word depression's in there. Just focus on, you have an abundance of opportunities ahead of you. I love money and money loves me. Yes, that's my I love. I love money and money loves me. Because I have a poor relationship with money. I don't know what you need to fill in there, but I do have a poor relationship with money. At that time, whenever I said I don't care, I developed a poor relationship with money. So I love money and money loves me. And I recognize the wisdom, strength, and compassion that's within me. So at those times where I second guess myself, is what I have to share worthy of somebody paying money for it? Is what I have to offer truly worth it? Well, then this one encompasses that. I have the wisdom, the strength, and compassion that's within me, right? It's already within me, and I have this. I just need to cultivate it and manifest it and put it out there. My last one. I am blessed with amazing son. My son, oh, thank goodness. I did a good job raising him. There were some times I was worried about it. If you're a parent, you know what I'm talking about. There are some times where you wonder if you're going to get through this shit. And most of us do. If you do have a child that is tough to raise, start showing a little more compassion or something. I don't know. I was blessed with a good child. He challenged me, yes, he definitely challenged me, but I can actually say that I was blessed with a good kid, and I appreciate that, because with everything I went through, with my mother dying and divorce and being a single parent and everything, I truly feel blessed that my son was an easy child to raise. I know some people out there aren't quite as fortunate as me, but that's why this fits in this blank so well. That I was truly blessed with an amazing son, and I appreciate him very much. And I made it through. He's 23 today. Yes, truly blessed. Anyway, let's move on. At the bottom of this, there's the little signature line. I want you to sign this. Commit to yourself. I know it sounds silly committing to yourself, but like I said earlier too, you also need self-love. If you don't love yourself, how can you expect anybody else to love you? If you can't depend on yourself, if you can't be independent, then who else can you depend on, right? You need to do this for yourself. Take this vow to yourself. If you're on the computer, you're just going to type your name in there. If you printed it out and you've been doing a written version of this the whole time, then go ahead and manually sign it. But commit to yourself as something as simple as just putting it down there. And keep these handy. Hang it, print it out, hang it on your mirror so you see them in the morning, hang it on your refrigerator, carry it as a bookmark in a book, wherever you need to do it. But you need to remind yourself of these often. They might evolve. Again, as you need to be flexible in life, some of these might evolve a little bit. My first one, I am healthy and I am balanced, that one never evolves. That one, that's what keeps me grounded. That's my foundation right there. But yes, I want you to commit to these. Also, if you want to commit to me, if you want an accountability buddy, email it to me. We can also set up a time to talk or chat if you'd like. I am here for you. And my email address, you should have it. It probably was included in the receipt whenever you purchased this program. But just to make sure you have my email address, reneestahl108@gmail.com. That's reneestahl108@gmail.com. Anyways, I am here for you. I also, I adhere to the HIPAA laws. I don't share information with anybody. Your information, whatever you share with me, is safe with me. As you notice today, even for this purpose of this master class, I don't tell anybody else's stories. I use myself as an example all the time because I have permission to use myself as an example. And I have plenty of shit I've experienced in my life that I can come up with several examples. However, I would love some testimonials. But if I ever use any of your material for a testimonial, I will ask for your permission. I will even ask how you want that testimonial to be signed. You can do it anonymously or your initials or your name, whatever. I do really appreciate testimonials so that other people can hear about my work and what I'm doing for other people. And it just really helps me also in my own heart and my own mind, because I've already shared with you how I second guess myself. So it helps me out, and the more you help me out, I help out others, and that's what I really want to do, is just help others. Anyway, If you want to share with me your positive affirmations and mantras just to make sure that they truly are positive and clear, send them to me. We can also chat or talk. If you want to share the entire workbook with me, your story, to make you even more accountable by just putting it out there, I'm there for you. And your stuff is safe with me. I won't share with anybody else unless you want me to share your story as a method of inspiring somebody else. So send that to me if you want. One more story, if just to kind of wrap this up. My story of moving to Maui. If you know me well, then you might already know some of this, but moving to Maui. 5 years ago, I moved to Maui. So prior to that, 5 years ago, I had plans of doing it, right? So I've been on this plan and timeline for a while. But 5 years ago, I moved. My son was 18 years old, but I was kind of a fool to think that at 18 years old, I could go from seeing him every day, because he stayed in Colorado when I moved to Maui. But I was a fool to think that at 18 years old, I could go from seeing him every day to not seeing him at all, and me being thousands of miles away, even an entire ocean away. And so I came back. After 10, 11 months in Maui, I came back, and I've been back for 4 years. And while I came back, because that's what my heart was telling me to do at the time, the moment that I came back, I knew, oh boy, it reminded me why I left in the first place. And from the moment I came back, I've been trying to get back down to Maui. I realized the reason why I moved down there in the first place. And it's really, truly where I wanted to be. So we came back. I helped my son out with a few things, and we ended up living in Fort Collins to help out Bill's mom. He remodeled a house up there, and we couldn't afford rent and him helping her remodel a house. So we lived in the house in Fort Collins. And that really anchored us and tied us down. But this entire 4 years, if you've been following me, maybe you haven't, but I'm just going to say for the last 4 years, every Friday, I have called my Friday yoga classes Aloha Friday Yoga. As my students came in, I greeted them with aloha. And when I started class, I'd say, welcome to Aloha Friday. And so for 4 years, I've at least had that weekly reminder. Don't get me wrong, it's actually been more like daily reminders that I've reminded myself that I want to get back down to Hawaii and Maui. But that's like the most obvious one out there. I've been manifesting it, right? Just like how I said with the whole 30, be careful that you're manifesting that 30. Why not manifest more than 30? So I have been manifesting Aloha Friday for several years. And so the moral to this story, though, is you got to have patience. Things can take several years, months, weeks, depending if it's pottery, right? It might only take a couple weeks to learn how to make pottery. But me getting back to Maui has taken several years. Because remember, even prior to 5 years ago moving down there, I had a goal before that. Yeah, so we're talking many, many, many years of me talking about Maui, living in Maui, going to Maui, having Aloha Friday, starting my online business. Whenever I started doing these videos and these trainings and these classes online, that's all part of my master plan to get my butt down to Maui so that I can still have a job when I'm in Maui. So becoming an entrepreneur, a lot of my motivation comes from being able to live wherever I want and still have a job and still be me and still have it wrapped around yoga, because that's my true dharma. This is my dharma to do what I'm doing. I truly believe that I'm following my path and this is what I'm meant to do, and I've set several goals. I've sat down and done what I just promoted. I have done this myself, wrote all these down to create goals. From the Aloha Friday to creating an online business and everything. And I shared that with you today as my examples along the way. I hope that you've gotten something out of this and you can accomplish something. But do know it's going to take time and patience. So always keep your mantras and your affirmations at hand. If you need to change them slightly, go ahead and change them. Always keep them positive. Resist putting any negative words in them. And be impeccable with your words. Lately in my classes, I've been reminding people that to even eliminate the word frustrating from your life. Something is not frustrating, it's challenging. Yeah? Do you hear the difference between frustrating and challenging? All right, well then now eliminate the F word from your life. Don't use the F word. It's challenging. Okay? So this will be challenging. It is a journey, and patience is a must. But in order to connect the dot, right, you have your dots, and the journey is the journey of connecting those dots. The journey is just as important as the goal, okay? So making sure that you connect the right dots. Sometimes a dot might take us all the way over here. Like when my mom was very ill, my dots were being connected for me. I had no control of those dots. What I did have control of was how I was going to react to it and how I was going to live the rest of my life. But in the meantime, while she was sick, her illness dictated my days, my weeks, my life to helping her and getting through that. Plus still going to work, being a single parent, and going through a divorce. I did it all at once, right? Sometimes you have to do everything all at once so that you can move on to brighter days. So hashtag did it all at once, one and done. Anyway, there will be bumps in the road, but that's why we've written all this stuff down so that whenever you can get back to it, you can get back to it. It's like after my mom passed, did my mourning, life was quite different without her. I still miss her very, 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 very much, but I had to get back to connecting my dots. All right, so this is where I kind of want to leave this today. You need patience, kindness, compassion for yourself, and love for yourself. Maybe even some of those are part of your 10 goals, is finding compassion for yourself, finding love. If you do, then prioritize your goals, because you might want to start with some of those to be able to accomplish some of the harder goals. So whether your goals are to lose weight, find compassion for yourself, take on a pottery class, change your life drastically by going back to school or finding a new job or moving to an island, whatever it is, do know that the formula is time, patience, writing things down, being impeccable with your words. Remember, it's challenging. Resist using the F word. And keep your goals and mantras and affirmations as close to your heart as you can. Remind yourself of them daily, weekly, monthly, annually. You can do this. I know you can. Share anything with me that you want to share with me so I can help you be accountable. But for the most part, it's you who has to make this happen. Yeah, Uncle Sam. It's you who has to make this happen. My finger gets really big the closer it gets to the camera. And yes, it will be scary. We talked about being scared and fear, right? Remember, there's a difference between the two. And while true trauma and being violated can create some fear and scare in your mind, do keep all of that separate. Not necessarily separate, but connect the dots from your past on why you think the way you do today. Overcome, master your mindset, let go of those limiting beliefs. There's an inner critic in all of us. Don't let your inner critic beat you up too much, and don't get in your own way. Take that back. You will get in your own way. We all do. We're our own worst enemy. But you can start to recognize it sooner and sooner and sooner. Start to recognize when you're getting in your own way. And then come back to your affirmations and your mantras. It works. Trust me, it works. You can do it too. All right, I could ramble on forever, but this is where I'll leave you. I'll leave you with peace, love, abundance, and namaste.